Edwards on the drive, goes inside the floor. Scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
We are bringing the boom on a beautiful Thursday with tons and tons of action going on. I am Mangone. I'm here with JSU. I'm fighting through allergies, so if I somehow sneeze throughout the show while I'm talking, I'm sorry. I'm powering through, but it's a great day. The day is opening day for the baseball season. We had a show earlier. That was awesome. On top of that, March Madness kicks back off tonight. I'm very excited for that. I can't wait to sweat out those games. And then, of course, we're here for NBA. Don't forget about that. So it's a fun night of all the action, or fun day of all the action. Looks like Reggie's so excited. He's hanging out with you, JSU. He wants to be a part of all the action. But how are things going for you?
Yeah, Reggie's a big fan of action. You know, he likes to get in on the action. He likes to, gamble a little bit. He'll nose bump my phone a little when he wants me to place a bet. Just he nose bumped my phone this morning. He said, "I want you to bet Tyler O'Neill home run. Put the no sweat bet on it." I said, "All right, Reg, I'll put it on it." Jeez, stop pushing me around. And the guy goes yard. So yeah, Reggie loves a little sweat here and there, but we still got hoops. I think opening day definitely took everyone's attention for a little bit. It's obviously nice to get opening day out there. I love opening day. It's great. Day baseball, and then you get a couple of night games at the latest, but we still get hoops. Nice little 6-game slate here on DraftKings, man, going between 7 and 8. So still got some NBA to sweat out.
Yep, still have NBA to sweat out. Lots of NBA too. A pretty good slate. I like it. I'm on the playbook today, so I've been kind of diving into it, and we'll see what happens news-wise, right? There are some big pieces of news that I think will shift the slate that we'll talk about as we get through it. For me, the biggest piece that I'm waiting for, JSU, is Josh Giddey and Vucevic, right? Once that domino falls, that's going to be a big piece that can change the entire slate completely. And honestly, I don't know if we'll get the news in time for certain. I mean, maybe we do, maybe we don't. It is kind of a fast slate. Games start at 7. You got 3 starting at 7, 1 at 7:30, and then 2 at 8. So DK has it where we're just going to be, fast and furious right away with those games. So JC, let's dive in. Obviously, good day to start for you. You got the Tyler O'Neill no sweat bet home run in. So let's keep it rolling. Maybe we can find some bets throughout the show. Let's get to Indiana and Washington. And hey, I talked about the Washington Wizards a little bit yesterday. I didn't love them all the way, but I loved my man, Mr. Alexandre Sarr. So Mr. Sarr, he got the job done yesterday, got about 42 DK points. He was my play of the day. And hey, I'm going to go back to him here. I just think there's certain guys you just play the rest of the season, right? When you get to late March, early April. I thought Quentin Grimes was one of those guys. I think Sarr is one of them. I feel pretty confident. I just want to be playing him, and I'm just going to call it a day. So for me, I like Sarr. He's in play again in this Indiana matchup. They are gaining back Chris Middleton, right? Which that does matter because that muddies up some of that situation with Carrington and Johnson. I want to see what that starting lineup kind of ends up being, but that is another piece that's thrown into the mix that messes that up a little bit. Indiana side of the ball, problem with them is they're all healthy, right? The entire team is there basically. They're playing the Washington Wizards, so it's a great matchup. You can obviously make the case for Tyrese, Pascal, 2 spends that are clearly options that could be, spend ups that you just mix and match throughout your lineups. Miles Turner at 6'5", he's another guy I think just has upside at the price that, hey, he could easily get 40. It's a good matchup. So, and then the last guy I'll mention is Benedict Mathurin. I do think he is worth mentioning just because he's 5'1", and he could go off in this matchup. Of course, I could see routes where he only gets 20 DK points, low floor, high ceiling play, but I think he's in the conversation. I'm not saying play like, him on 2 or 3 of your teams or play like 60% in MME, but I just think he's someone, you get a sprinkle of, as they say. So JSU, what are you doing though with Wizards and Pacers?
Yeah, you had a good call on Sarr yesterday. He crushed. And, outside of that, like my boy Champagne crushed, but again, and I played him too, but like 22 minutes, it's just like that's the problem with these Wizards guys is, even guys in good spots starting, he only played 22 minutes. He smashed in that 22 minutes for 37. And, that's all we got. And we had so many guys out. Now, like you said, you add back in Chris Middleton. So we'll see what happens with the starting lineup. But I'm with you. Sarr on that side seems like a solid play. Outside of him, I don't really love much else on Washington. Indiana side, I like Miles Turner. I don't mind Mathurin. Honestly, his minutes, like I've talked about, are very up and down, but he can get there. So it's a good matchup. I don't mind him. I think Miles Turner is my favorite play though from this side. And then I think you can spend up for Hallie if you want. He's been just really, really rock solid the last 4 or 5 games. So yeah, I think, again, like I said, not super priority plays, but I like the bigs from both sides, and I like Hallie.
Yeah, I think we're similar. It's there's not a lot to love in this game, but I think you can get some pieces here and there. Kind of some of the ones that we talked about: Sarr, Turner, Halliburton, and then Pascal's fine, but he's probably like the third option if I had to pick of the Pacers guys. I'd even maybe put Mathurin over him if I had to pick, but again, I'm kind of with you. Like that 3 that you mentioned, Sarr, Halliburton, and Turner, they probably seem like the top 3 in that game for me. All right, let's get to the next game. Let's talk Cleveland and the San Antonio Spurs. And I don't know what to do exactly with this spot. I'll say this. The Spurs, they are very frustrating, right? They just play too many guys. They clearly have good plays, right? If you look at the Spurs situation, Devin Vassell, Steven Castle, they're both going to be under 10%, but they're clearly going to get usage, right? So it makes a lot of sense to consider them. Keldon Johnson, he's 4.7, and I can see routes where he gets me 16 DK points. And I can see routes where he gets 40 DK points. So that's basically what's going on there with that situation. As we keep going along, I would say Julian Champagne's the cheapest I would go on the Spurs. Not dying to play him. I think he's similar to Keldon Johnson, where it's hey, if he gets the minutes, he's going to crush, but I don't know if he's going to get the minutes. And then, of course, Cleveland side of the ball, you got to talk about them because they are missing Evan Mobley, right? Donovan Mitchell, 8.8K. Darius Garland, 8.4. Jared Allen, 6.8, who feels like the best value of the studs. And then of the cheap options, Ty Jerome, who's questionable, Max Strus, and DeAndre Hunter. All 3 of those guys are definitely in the conversation. Just depends if you want to use them as a value. So JSU, why don't you talk about this game, though? Because it's clearly one we have to consider, but I do worry about playing some of these guys and then just busting.
Yeah, the Spurs side definitely more than the Cleveland side, just from the standpoint, the minutes are, again, really tough for some of these guys, especially the spend ups. But even Shohan, starting Bismack Biyombo after starting Shohan a couple games, going back to that, obviously a little foul trouble, but still just his minutes are not secure. They don't want to play Chris Paul big minutes. He's relegated to probably 25 at the high, 26 at the high, and low 20s. So it makes him kind of a tough play, and then like you said, the Vassell Castle combo, they're fine. I would probably prefer Castle for tournaments. I think he's got more of the upside. I think Vassell's a little safer of a play. But I'm telling you, man, the Spurs are a team that I'm very cautious with. They're starting to play Champagne a little bit more. 22 minutes. I think he gets that again. I don't know if that means he's necessarily in play, but he's probably going to get that run. They're playing Bismack like 25 minutes, 23 minutes. I don't want to play Bismack. Harry Barnes still getting, some run. It just makes this team really tough. So the Spurs side, I want to be really cautious with. Probably even max 1 from the Spurs, I think, is a decent rule. On the Cleveland side, though, I do think Jared Allen's a really good play. And, I think you can play some DeAndre Hunter at 4,800. Donnie Mitchell, I think is fine. The only thing I will say about Donnie Mitchell is like they're being very careful with his minutes. And this game against the Spurs, I would assume they'd stay kind of cautious with him if this game gets kind of a little out of hand. So that's the only thing that stinks with him. But he has the upside. I think my favorite plays, though, are Jared Allen, DeAndre Hunter, and then Mitchell. Those 3 guys. Ty Jerome. Is Ty Jerome like officially in? Or is he still questionable?
I saw questionable unless something happened while I was. No, he's still questionable. So yeah,
he's still questionable. So if he's like ruled out, maybe like a Sam Merrill or a Craig Porter would be interesting for cheap. Maybe get a little guard bump Mangone. So I would probably say, those guys are worth taking a look at if you get this backup point guard out. Especially if Craig Porter plays at 3K, it's probably not a bad value play.
Yeah, that would obviously make it interesting. We need the Ty Jerome news. I should have mentioned that at the top of mentioning the game, but that is a key piece of news that could come through and really, I'm not saying it's going to shatter the slate, but it matters, right? It's definitely an important piece. So that definitely
especially
matters.
With this game. This game's at home. It's against San Antonio, who obviously doesn't want to win. Like, if this game gets out of hand, like, and somehow your cheap guys catch like the ceiling run man going, instead of like 15 minutes, they get like 25 or 23. Like, some of these guys could crush.
Yeah, for sure. Andrew, I have my water right here. It's not warm. I put some ice in it. It melted, so it's not warm like JSU likes it.
Mango's battling for you guys right now. Give the man some props. He's battling right now. Look at him. He's in a dark room. There's pollen all around him. And he's just he's here. He's here for the people.
Yeah, the pollen's brutal in Florida, Run Like says. Also, the pollen, I should have realized when I looked at the weather report, right? We got some like nice baseball weather. It's pretty crazy, actually. So to have really good weather in late March. But I'm with you, JSU. Like that Ty Jerome news matters, right? That will definitely be something that's going to be important for this slate. And I'm also with you on the Spurs. Like, I want to be cautious. Like, for instance, when I built my teams, JSU, like, if I'm getting 80% Keldon Johnson, like, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I'm not taking on that risk. It's unnecessary to take on that risk. Sure, you can play him, but you just got to be a little cautious with some of these plays because it's just this time of year. So, yep.
Yeah, at least Keldon's like 4,700. So, like, if he gets you 20, it's not like you're like dead, but yeah, you don't want to have like 80%. You don't want to have 80% of any Spur, let alone Keldon Johnson.
Yeah, I just think it's like worth mentioning, like, be careful with your San Antonio Spurs exposure at this time of year. All right, next game up, Mavericks and the Orlando Magic. Curious to see what you want to do with this game, JSU, because Anthony Davis is back, right? And with Anthony Davis back, Najee Marshall 7-9. Now his projection has gone down like 8 points, so that's clearly not going to be worth it at the same price. I know you liked him the other day. Got to know when to get on and off, guys. This is a great time to get off. Spencer Dinwiddie 6-7. Like, all these prices just seem egregious. So, I think you could argue the Mavs are a full fade on this slate, especially when you say, hey, it's a matchup against the Orlando Magic. This is not a team that we typically like to target. It's just not worth it. Paolo Banchero, 9-9, and Franz Wagner, 8-9. That looks expensive, but it's worth noting on a slate where I assume we'll have a lot of value, right? I think we have some decent value now. It's not the best value slate that we've had probably over the past week or so, but there's value to play. It's easy to get a Banchero or Wagner if you want to. And I know AD's back, but I'm still not that worried about the Dallas matchup defensively. Banchero 9-9 though. Franz Wagner 8-9. JSU. Talk about that, and then talk about Wendell Carter Jr. at 5-2. He's projecting really well, and I don't completely buy that in the matchup against Anthony Davis. He just feels like a cash game condom type play. And then one more guy to call out, Anthony Black. He has shown upside. Even with Corey Joseph starting, he's came in there and played pretty well. He's 4K. He projects well. He's going to be about 30% owned. And he's a value that I think you have to kind of make a decision on this slate. But what's your overall thoughts here on this game?
Yeah, so I agree with you on the Dallas side. All the price tags are inflated from them playing games with 8, 9 guys, with no AD, with no PJ, with no obviously Kyrie. All these guys getting ruled out for a while now. Now you got Anthony Davis back. All the price tags are super high on these guys still. So there's just no value. There's no value. And I would assume that they're still pretty cautious with AD's minutes, man, going. I don't know that for a fact. Played 27 minutes last game. I would think they'd play him, 27 to 30 minutes, maybe try and uptick him a little bit. But, maybe they'll give us something, later closer to game time that we can. They didn't talk about a minutes limit yet, did they? For AD?
I did not see the minutes limit, but I'll admit, JSU, I just saw the matchup and I just didn't care. I was like, I'm not playing him today. It really doesn't matter. So I didn't even.
That's fair. That's fair. I think from the Orlando side, like the Franz Paulo thing, I normally side with like the Paulo side because I think in general his upside's just a little higher. But I think in this spot, I might actually lean the Franz side for this matchup here. I think it's just a little bit better of a matchup for him personally. But, either guy I think is fine on this slate. I just prefer the 1,000 savings with him. Wendell Carter Jr., I agree with you 100%. He's your typical cash play. He's going to rate out pretty well from a value standpoint. I don't think the matchup's very, very great for him. But, and on top of it, he's just so hit or miss. I think most times you're getting low to mid 20s with him, and you're kind of moving on. So do I need that at 5,200? No, I'd rather play Anthony Black at 4K. He's looked really good and 30 minutes of work, solid fantasy point per minute guy the last couple games. And, maybe gets a little more, man, go. He's been playing that so good. I don't see why they don't give him more minutes, especially even when Cole Anthony comes back. Why aren't you playing Anthony Black more? He looks so good. And he looks so honestly like Cole Anthony's not even that good. Corey Joseph's obviously just a stopgap. He's just the plug-in guy to keep Black off the bench. But I like Anthony Black. I'm a fan of Anthony Black. I think his game's developing pretty well. 4K, I think, is a fair price tag. I can't play like KCP though. No Corey Joseph. The backup bigs are completely hit or miss. So for me, I think I like Franz and Anthony Black the most from the Orlando side. If you made me pick, and then I'm 100% on board with Dallas fade. I mean, these price tags, they don't even give me a chance to play anyone.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'll say this: after being an idiot and playing as much Kessler Edwards as I did the other day, I know you didn't do that as much. I'm not happy with Dallas, so it makes it easy for me just to stay away. And like I said,
I forgot about that. The Kessler Edwards play. It wasn't you that I was on with that day, but
no,
it was big team on with. Oh, Kessler, he's a great play. He's gonna crush. Kessler Edwards sucks, people. He is not good. He's not a good basketball player. There's a reason why teams leave him wide the fuck open. He was like, man, going, you remember who was the dude on OKC back in the day? Andre Roberson. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Do you remember him? Do you remember how wide open they'd leave him for? He was a great defender, but remember how wide open they'd leave him for threes? Literally. Didn't care. That's
not just for threes, corner threes, right? Like the corner, it would just be
literally just he would sit in the corner and they'd let him just sit there. That's Kessler Edwards. They'd let that dude sit. They'd take a three from anywhere on the court he'd want. No one's afraid of Kessler Edwards. It's the same thing. Lou Dort was similar to that too, but Lou Dort actually got a 3-point shot throughout his career. He built it up. These guys never really did. So, that's kind of what it reminds me of is Roberson. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else from this game, man. Going, I don't know honestly this game and the last game we talked about. It's tough sledding, especially on one side of those games, and like even Washington. Like I could see myself honestly being like, do I really? I could like max one from like one team from each of those first 3 games. Like just setting that rule of just max one. It's like I don't love Washington. I think Sarr's the best play, but I don't think there's many other like plays that I feel I need. Same thing with San Antonio. Definitely same thing with Dallas. I don't even know if I want one. I might none. Just literally X them out. But like, that might be the theme of this slate here. The more I start looking at some of these teams, like it's like one-sided for my DFS teams.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good thought process there throughout. And a lot hinges on this bowl stuff. Like I even had Glock hit me up because he was saying he's got to I got the playbook up and he made an addition to it. And he was like, I got to go and do this, like, Disney on Ice with the kid, and he's like, I got to get my stuff up early. I'm playing light because of the Bulls because he's out. He can't do anything about it, right? Like, and if you're home, that's an edge, right? This Bull stuff is going to be massive and completely change the slate. So that's something that we are obviously kind of waiting on, and that's going to shift some of our thoughts. And hey, that's a great time to be able to get in Discord to be able to get our thoughts on what happens when all that news shifts when we're off the show. But let's get to Miami and Atlanta because JC, this game's kind of interesting because I think anytime the Atlanta Hawks are on a slate, you have to have them in play or the team against them in play. Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, 8-3 and 8-2. Clearly guys that have upside in this matchup. You also have a couple other options. Andrew Wiggins, 6'6", Khalil Ware, 5'6". They all have upside, right? Like I could see every single one of them basically have a slate-breaking performance against the Hawks. So they feel like guys you can mix and match in your MME stuff, but of course they're not all going to get there. They are all pricier, right? There's no like values you're trying to get to. Davion Mitchell is the one value in this game that I think is popping up a little bit. He's coming in around 15%, but it is a good matchup, right? Hawks is a spot where you can get some steal and block upside, and that's kind of the type of player he is. The Atlanta Hawks side of the ball, I'm not dying to play Trae Young at 9-4. I'd much rather play Giddey. I'm like hoping Giddey's in, but if he's not in, hey, that could obviously make me shift some exposure to Trae Young. The other interesting one is I typically like Dyson Daniels, but I like him in matchups against the Hawks, the Wizards, the Pacers. Like this Miami team isn't really a matchup to love him in at 7.1K. You got Karis LeVert as a value. And the other guy I want to talk about is Onyeka Okongwu. He's 7-4 now, and it's not like I'm dying to attack Bam Adebayo. And not only that, JC, he projects well, and he's going to be 22% owned. Listen, I like Onyeka Okongwu. I think he's got upside still at the price, but at that ownership of 22%, which again, it's not like he's 40 or 50, but that's not nothing for a guy that's kind of priced up now. So I'm a little cautious with Onyeka Okongwu. I think he's a really interesting play to discuss on this slate, but what's some of your other thoughts on this game?
Yeah, some of my thoughts. I mean, I'm kind of with you on a lot of what you said. I don't really want to pay for Trae Young, Bam Adebayo. Seem a little pricey here, honestly. Okongwu, same thing. Dyson Daniels. I don't mind Andrew Wiggins. I think Khalil Ware at his price tag isn't a terrible play, man, going at 5'6". I don't think it's a horrible tag for him. So I think he's in play. The upside might be a little capped, but I think he's at least in play. But yeah, I think Niang's okay, Mangone. Like the value on the slate is not amazing. I will say it could get better as we go. But Niang at 4,400, he's going to play like low to mid 20s. He's 4,400. He's shown he can get us 30. Like I would keep Niang in the pool. Kind of same thing with Ricochet. I don't like him a ton, but like the shot attempts are high. He's not doing a ton else, but 13, 15, 10, 15, 16 shot attempts, playing mid to high 20s. I don't think at 4,500, I don't think he's a terrible play either. So honestly, the more I look at it, I like some of those like cheaper Atlanta guys. And then I like Andrew Wiggins. Where on the Heat is probably where I'm at with Miami. I don't see any other Miami guys. Thing with Miami, it kind of stinks, man. Going like Ware kind of muddied it up for Bam, and then Wiggins kind of muddied it up for Hero. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like, because Hero had that little stretch where guys were out, there was no Wiggins, Jimmy was, just quitting on his team, and so he was like the guy, and Bam was like the guy, and there wasn't much else. You know what I mean? Then they started playing Ware, and Ware kind of got his stuff. And then they trade Jimmy, they get Wig, and Wig's been balling. But, man, it hurts a lot of the upside for these guys. So, not that I don't think you could play a Tyler Hero. Like, I'd probably keep Tyler Hero in the pool. It's just, man, with Wiggins, I definitely think Wiggs hurts him a bit.
No, you're 1,000% right. This is one of those spots where, like, if I have exposure to Wiggins, sure, it's like not the worst thing in the world or a hero, but I don't want two of these guys on my team, really, right? Like, I'm just being a little cautious with it. It's a tough game for sure to get excited about. And even the values, right? Like, do I want to mix and match the Atlanta Hawk values? I don't know how I feel about Davion Mitchell. Like, I look at Davion Mitchell and I just go, I'd probably rather play Anthony Black, right, against the Dallas Mavericks, and it's like the same price. So that's kind of makes it a little bit tough. So that's my thoughts on this game. There's better games to come that we're about to discuss here in a second. If you guys can hit that like, of course, we appreciate that. We don't ask that much here. And subscribe to find out when we got so many shows going on now, JSC, right? So you might not know when they're going live. So it's a good.
Yeah, the baseball show is at noon today. Tomorrow it's going to be at 5. This show's going to be at 4. So, you definitely want to hit that subscribe button. That way you get the notification. You don't have to, worry about what time is this show, what time is that show. If you're not following on Twitter and stuff like that, which, I mean, you should also follow on Twitter because that's another way to get updates on what time stuff is. But if you're not on Twitter, this is another way. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get that notification popped up on your computer. And like I said, like still grinding NBA. Playoffs will be here soon. Got MLB here. So a lot of stuff going on. And we got all the other sports like golf, MMA, college basketball starting up tonight, right? Sweet 16, man, going? Sweet 16?
Yeah, Sweet 16 tonight. So that's going to be fun. I'm excited for that. But
yeah, do you have a favorite Sweet 16 team? Have you been watching the college at all?
Yeah, I've watched most of the games. For tonight, I would say, I mean, I have Florida to win it all. I know it's kind of chalky, but I have that.
You and everyone else in the world.
I know. I mean, they just play basketball the right way. They're like the Celtics. They play it the right way.
Did you make a bracket?
Yeah, I did.
So I know nothing about college basketball. I don't watch regular season college basketball. I'm not in the streets grinding it. And mainly because we can't like play it out in Massachusetts. We can't play like college basketball DFS. Or college football for that matter. Or I probably would look at it a little bit more, but every single person I heard talk about their bracket picked Florida to win. Every single show, every single mainstream show, every single non-mainstream show, like everyone. And I was just like, man, they must be like amazing. They must be like the UConn teams that just like rolled and like, you bet them every time. And Big T would just text me like, bet UConn. They're gonna cover like every game, and I was just like, okay, I'll just blind bet. I'll blind bet this team. I don't know what I'm betting, but when they almost lost, man, going, I was rooting so hard because I was like, I picked them to lose. I had that right. Like if they lost, I would have had UConn. The only reason I picked UConn was because they were so good last year. In my head, I didn't realize that they lost Castle and Klingon and all these really good guys. I was just like, oh, it's UConn and they're playing Florida. Perfect. I'm going to pick, like a donkey, you know what I mean? Like pick against the best team in college basketball. So I was rooting so hard for them to fucking lose, but happy for the 99% of you that had Florida winning, 99.9 probably.
They were also up in the air because remember the Dan Hurley stuff where he was gonna like leave and go to the Lakers possibly. So like I don't think like college kids were like dying to commit, right? Like I think that like limbo hurt them a little bit as well. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but it could have been a factor. JC, this is actually a good DFS story. So this morning at 6:15, I wake up and I got to take a piss, right? Like I just like you in the middle of the night or whatever, you got to go to the bathroom. So I wake up, go to the bathroom. I hear my phone at 6:18, okay? And it's a notification. And I'm like, wow, what's this notification? It says Taylor Moore WDs. So I
actually saw that because I was in the golf. I was in the Discord. Like I sat down with my coffee and then I saw like the red notification pop up and I was like, oh, what is this? And it was like Taylor Moore WD, and it was like 4 minutes before lock. So I saw a bunch of people scrambling in Discord. It's another reason though why you should join Run Pure Sports, because those notifications, like right when someone sees it, they're dropping it in Discord. They're adding everyone in the chat. So, if you got burned by something like that in the past or this week, it sucks. It's like the worst feeling ever to be dead before the tournament even starts, man, going. Like, I'm sure it's happened to you. It's happened to me before. Like, nothing worse than being dead before the slate even starts or right when the slate starts. So it's just another reason to join RPS.
So I assumed, because of the time, I just assumed I was dead and I wasn't going to swap. And then I said, let me check. I don't even know when this thing starts. Like I couldn't remember.
Oh, you thought it already started.
Correct. So I rolled over. And then I realized like 30 seconds later, I'm dumb to not check. So I checked. And again, I'm like groggy and tired or whatever. So of course it didn't click right away.
Would you have ever noticed, you think, if you didn't check, would you have ever noticed that you actually had time?
Like, what do you mean?
Like if you did, let's say you didn't decide to roll over and check. Do you think you would have ever noticed that you actually did have time?
I don't know if I would have noticed the next morning.
That's what I'm saying. Like, would you have ever realized it? Like during the weekend?
I probably wouldn't have realized it, but when I went over, I saw my upcoming and I was like, oh, I have my upcoming. Like clearly I can do this. So I was trying to go and swap it one by one. And then I was like, I need a global swap. I didn't even know when it started. So I thought the timer was ticking and who knew what time it would happen at, but I got the global swap in perfectly.
I get it that they want to show the ownerships and all that stuff, man, going, but like in my mind, it should just lock per tee time. Yeah,
I would like that. I think it'd be fun.
I don't know why. I don't think you'd get much of a complaint. Yeah, there'd be some guys just like the 150ers that just jam everything and maybe they wouldn't like it as much. They want to go back to bed. But with how many guys I've noticed, like after the tournament starts, just withdraw in golf, like randomly without any questionable type thing, like it makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd like to be able to just
it's not like down. MMA. Like MMA, it's one night. You know what I mean, man? Going, if golf was one night, I'd say just lock it and let it go. But it's 4 days. Like it should lock per tee time. It's 4 friggin' days.
It's definitely it's also a brutal like lose your teams for the week. You know what I mean? But of course, DK wants you playing showdown and getting in on those contests. But. All right, well, that's enough of that. Let's get to the the game that matters the most on this slate, the Lakers and the Bulls. Let's talk Lakers side real quick. So obviously, again, on slates that we're going to have tons of value. Luka, 12K, makes sense. LeBron at 10-3, he makes a lot of sense. Austin Reeves at 9K, I can't really I don't know if I get behind that, but I get it. I don't think it's someone that I'm looking to play. I'd rather just get to Luka and LeBron. They're two spends that I'm interested in. And I'm not really interested in the Lakers' values. I don't really see a lot of great plays there, so I'm not dying to get to those options. The Bulls side, it's tough to break down right now, JSU, but we just have to mention, I think you have to leave the roster spots open, right? You got to leave it open to make your decisions. We did just get some pretty big news that Ty Jerome is unlikely to play. So We can circle back to that later on. We did get that Cole Anthony is ruled out as well. But, hey, that's going to change how we look at this Bulls situation a little bit more because we're going to like this Cleveland spot a lot. But anyways, back to where I was getting to. Josh Giddey and Vucevic. If both are out, it's clearly going to be a bump for all these guys, right? Whoever starts is going to be in a good spot. Giddey, 9.5K. It feels expensive, but I'll tell you this. If Vucevic sits, man, that's going to be a really nice boost for him. Will help Kobe White as well if Giddey's out. So Kevin Huerter, he's going to be another one that gets a big boost. The Buzelas would get a big boost. And then from the cheap guys, like if Vucevic sits, Zach Collins would emerge as an amazing value at 3.5K, right? Like he is someone that people could be locked out of, and he could be an absolute elite play. You make the case that Dallin Terry could pop up a little bit, or a Patrick Williams, depending on what the starting lineup is. It could be Jalen Smith. But JSU, talk about the Lakers real quick, and then shift on over to the Bulls and figure out how you're going to, I guess, handle this news on this slate.
Yeah. So first off with the Bulls side, because that's the side that, everyone wants to talk about, because I think it kind of feels like we're going to get some of these guys possibly out, Mangone. That's kind of how it feels. A few guys in, few guys out type of thing. So depending on who that is, like if Vucevic, the best thing would be Vucevic and Giddey sitting, right? Because if you get those guys sitting, then it's going to kind of open up clear spots. Like I think it's going to open up probably Zach Collins, right, Mangone? Like Zach Collins, if Vucevic is out, slides into that center spot.
Zach Collins would be the best play of the slate, right? That's like a huge thing that people might not be able to get to him.
Yeah, I think Buzelis becomes a better play at 4,500. Kevin Huerter is a little pricey for my taste at 5,900, but he would at least become, because this slate really isn't that good, to be honest with you. Like there's a lot of plays in those first couple, like not many plays in those first couple games we talked about, Mangone. Like Kevin Huerter's just in play because of that. And then the point guard spot, obviously you have Kobe White, who looks like he's going to play, but if no Josh Giddey, also no Trey Jones still, I don't know what's going to happen with Lonzo Ball. It might be one of those guys plays, one of those guys sits, but if that happens, you're going to want to play the whoever plays, obviously, probably is a decent play. But Mangone, what if like Lonzo and Giddey are both out?
If Lonzo and Giddey are both out, Kobe White is clearly the best play. Kevin Huerter would get a really nice bump at 5'9".
Probably Dallin Terry gets a bump.
Yeah, he would. Obviously, starters would be important, right? Which, like, we're not going to know that for sure, but I think it's them. And, of course, like, if Vucevic's out, Zach Collins is, like, the best player on the slate, in my opinion.
Here's the thing, though, like, with starters, Mangone, those first 4 games, like, to be honest with you, I could easily just play 2 to 3 guys max and then have roster flexibility for the last 2 games at 8 if I got to wait for starters, because I think starters are that important. So, and I think on this slate, it's not a terrible idea. So I might just do that. I might play 2 to 3 max in those first 7 o'clock and possibly the 7:30 game, and then just wait, because I think you're going to get some guys out from the Chicago side. And it's a great matchup for the Lakers. Obviously they're mostly healthy, but still a good matchup.
I agree with you. I want to leave those spots open. And on top of that, JSU, we got in the OKC game, we have Wiggins, who's already out, and Kaysen Wallace could miss. Like, there is value that we could get to, right? We could even play some of this Memphis stuff. So there are plays that you can get to later that aren't bad, right? So that's worth mentioning. Sean, no, I haven't magically gained weight in one day. It's my allergies. My allergies are really bad today, as you can tell.
He's a little poofy today, guys. He's a little poofy in the It's okay. Yeah, he's got the allergies.
I just thought it was funny. It's like I magically gained tons of weight. Now my
Black Belt Bobby said I was dropped off in Dagestan and forgot or something like that. Really if you're a black belt, you probably got me, Bobby. I'll say that. But I can grapple a little bit. if I have to. But
I think I'll take the
black
black
belt.
belt, but if we're taking randoms off the street, I got JSE.
One of my closest friends is a black belt, and yeah, I'll just say he can whoop my ass. So if you're a black belt, probably got me there, Bobby.
Yeah, BG, I don't have my homeless outfit on because my hat is in the wash along with the a bunch of sweatshirts. Basically, once you realize,
did you wash the hair too, man? Going for the show? Did you wash the hair?
I washed, dude. So like when the first day of allergy season hits, you wash everything. Like you wash everything, you get it all off. And honestly, I'm going to be hibernating inside all weekend, so I'm trying not to really leave the house. That's the goal this weekend. But we will battle.
A good weekend to hibernate. A bunch of sports. You'll be good.
Yeah, I did it last weekend too. I didn't do much, so I would just watch sports all weekend. It was great. So that's the current plan. Probably do have to go to the grocery store one time just because I don't think I think I need to stock up a little bit, but we'll do that.
I mean, you could fast.
I could fast. You're right.
I don't fast.
Yeah, I don't want to fast while watching March Madness. That doesn't sound fun. So
that's fair, Mango. The key is you don't think about the next time you're going to eat. That's the key with fasting.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, oh, I can't go 24 hours without eating. What are you, crazy? The next time I would eat, like, you think about it. Like, no, the key is you don't think about it. Like, that's how you do it. You literally don't think about it.
When I did it, because I did 3 days, like the first time. I did 3 days pretty easy. It wasn't that hard. But I remember I was watching a football game, and I remember seeing a pizza commercial, and I was like, man, these commercials are not helping. That was the only thing that bothered me. Like
they were getting you going, the commercials.
Because I wasn't thinking about it, and then like randomly they'd like, I'm watching a football game, right? And then they'd pop on like a pizza commercial. I'd be like, this is not fair. Like, I'm just trying to watch the game. Leave me alone. But yeah, it's not too hard. I don't think I'm gonna do it this weekend, but who knows? Maybe I'll change my mind as I go on. But all right.
Yeah, I just look past, I guess, the Pizza Hut commercials now, man. Going when I do it, I just I don't even see it.
You're also not a pizza guy, so it doesn't matter to you.
That's true. It doesn't get to me. Big Chop says I got a black belt in degenerate gambling. I think we all do, Big Chops. But welcome to the club.
Look at this, black belt Bobby's fasting too. So there you go. Yeah, he's on hour 40 of 48. So there you go.
I get it. It's hard not to count every minute, but that's the key. You can't do it. You got to occupy yourself with time, doing stuff, trying to get your mind not forget about it. Like, forget about food. It's the hardest thing, man, but like once you do it and you get used to it, it becomes easier.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to do it again soon, but not this weekend. It's not happening this weekend. So all right. Let's get to Memphis and OKC. Obviously, again, Bulls news, that's going to be important. We'll talk about that in the Discord chat. We're waiting on that news. Let's get to this OKC game, though, because we do have news like Jalen Williams might be back, right? And that could really muddy up this situation a ton. That's something I'm slightly concerned about. Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, SGA, they're all priced up with Jalen Williams possibly back. But if Jalen doesn't play and Case and Wallace, well, now that opens up the door for Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Joe. So those are definitely values that could pop up and be interesting plays, or they could be just non-existent, right? So I will say Lou Dort's probably fine no matter what, but he obviously gets a big boost if some of those guys are out. On the Memphis side of the ball, Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson. They're clearly good plays without Ja Morant, even at 9-2 and 8-1. Obviously not the easiest matchups at OKC, but I think those are spends that you can easily get to in MME formats if you want to. I think there's better spends you can get to, but they're certainly fine, right? Desmond Bane is 3%, and it's because he's just 9,200, and there's better plays like Josh Giddey and Trae Young and Halliburton and other plays in that range. Scottie Pippen's the interesting one to talk about. Santi Aldama, 6'4" and 6K. Likely will have really nice roles here. Luke Kennard, 4.7K. I know him and Scottie Pippen switch starting on and off here and there, but it seems like Scottie Pippen has been the guy as of late. JSU, it's not a game that's going to have a ton of exposure, but I'll say this. If you backload and things don't fall your way, well, maybe you'll get a little bit more exposure to this game, but what's your overall thoughts?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like it's not a game that necessarily pops off, but on this slate, man, is it really kind of any different? A lot of these guys are a little overpriced probably, but is it really any different than some of these other spots where we're talking about kind of the same things here. Scottie Pippen, they finally got his price right. 6K Mangone, I think is where he should be priced if he's starting. Been really good. He's been worth the price tag, honestly. I might pop off though at 6, like, kind of jump off the bandwagon at 6K, but it'll kind of depend on how much I backload and what I need. I kind of like Jaren Jackson in this spot. Santi Aldama, I don't know if him and Bane have kissed and made up yet and figured out their issues. Did you see their little bench squabble?
I must have missed that one. Who was it? It was
Bane gave him a little shove. You didn't see that? Bane gave him a little shove.
Who do you push?
Santi. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, I will say Santi is definitely like one of those like role players that would fight the star. I could see that.
Yeah. He sat down. I don't think Santi wanted to fight Desmond Bane. I'll just say that. Desmond Bane's actually big. Like,
he's got those T-Rex arms, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, but he's got those. He's got those muscles. Like he's got like NBA players. Not all of them are built like Desmond Bane. Like Desmond Bane's actually built.
Desmond Bane could play middle linebacker for a team, right? I would.
Desmond Bane, yeah, he could definitely. I'd take Desmond Bane in a few NBA fights. I'll just say that against taller guys, he'd whoop some ass. But yeah, I think 9-2. I'm probably out on Bane. I could play Santi just because he is one of those like tournament guys, and I could see myself needing someone in his price range. So I think like Santi, Scottie Pippen, Luke Kennard, I think is in play at 4,700. Like you said, they were kind of like switching off starting for a little bit. It seems like Scottie got that right now, but Luke Kennard still plays enough minutes to get there at his price tag. So I wouldn't rule him out. And then, Case and Wallace, obviously questionable. I don't know if that does much for me though, Mangone, because it's just not ton else, but maybe that makes Lou Dort a little bit of a better play if Jalen Williams is ruled out. I definitely want to see that Jalen Williams news, and maybe like an Isaiah Joe's a little bit of a better play, but I definitely want to make sure Jalen Williams is out.
Yeah, the Jalen Williams stuff matters a ton. Like if he's in, it's going to really hurt these guys. And honestly, I might even pivot to like Jaren Jackson more. I might even pivot to like Desmond Bane more as a stud, just because I think it really affects the situation going on in OKC. And that news matters, of course. And game is at the same time as the Bulls stuff. So obviously you could pivot to some Bulls instead if you'd like, or maybe to Luka and LeBron. But I don't think it's a bad idea to have roster spots open. Like JC, when you're 1 to 3 lineups, like I know in MMA it's a little easier to keep these spots open, but like, do you have kind of a plan of how many guys you want to play early versus how many you want to play late?
Yeah, I think I do. I think I want to play like 2 to 3 early guys and then backload. That's I think what I'm going to do. I went through this slate, we talked about it, and man, I could pull out like literally a handful in like the first 4 games. I'm like, that's like 6 guys or 7 guys. Like I don't know, not that many guys that I'm like into here, Mangone, but I think news is going to play a lot in this slate. And I think we're going to get it with the Bulls. So I'm not that worried about backloading. And worst comes to worst, if I got to play Bulls and Lakers or Memphis and OKC, like it's not the worst thing on this slate. I mean, there's bad games on this slate. Like I think Indiana-Washington's probably the best early game. I think Cleveland might have the best plays. Cleveland and Orlando, but like from a value perspective, but I think the Bulls are going to end up having the top values and maybe the top like spend ups from that game with like LeBron and or Luka.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
or just going to SGA, Mangone. Like we didn't talk about SGA, but like I could definitely just pay up for SGA on the slate. I think it's a solid spot for him, honestly.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You could definitely play SGA. Like, it's fine. I want Jalen Williams out, obviously, but like SGA can break any slate. You know what I mean? So it's certainly.
So the guys, like the early guys that I thought that me and Mangone kind of talked about was like Sarr from Washington, Miles Turner from Indiana, Halliburton from Indiana. Mangone like Matherin a little bit. Cleveland, Jared Allen, and then possibly one of these cheap guards like a Craig Porter or Sam Merrill. Orlando, Anthony Black, 4K, probably my favorite guy from there. No Dallas. Didn't really love Miami, Atlanta. I think you can play like Wiggins, Niang, plays like that, Khalil Ware. But that's kind of what we like rolled through real fast. And, a lot of those guys, I'm fine with playing them, but I'm also like, do I need a lot of these guys? Like, probably not. Like, I think there's like 2 or 3 guys that I really want. Like, I think Jared Allen's a really good play. I think Anthony Black's a good play. And then maybe 1 or 2 of those, Washington Pacers guys, the bigs.
Yeah, Jerome is out. That is worth mentioning. And starting lineups will be important. I assume the starting lineup will be Donovan Mitchell, Garland, Allen, and then they will start Struss and Hunter. And then your bench guys will likely be a Sam Merrill, Craig Porter, Okoro, and like Dean Wade, and then maybe a Tristan Thompson as a backup. But I mean, I think it more so helps Hunter and Struss, right? Like those guys get some bumps, but you could make the argument those guys are fine. But like, what if you get the Bulls news and then you just got the nuts players? You know what I mean? So like, that's another gamble you got to talk about on this slate, right? Like it matters.
Yeah, that's true. Like, do you want to gamble on a value early, right? Because if you get the Bulls news and you get all this value, that's a good point, Mangone. I do think there's some decent values early, but that's a pretty good point.
For sure. Let's get the plays of the day, JSU. Probably not the easiest to do on this slate, but let's do
like a stud and a value, Mangone. Let's do like a stud and a value play, or like a mid-tier to stud and a value play.
Yeah, well, I think I'm giving the same guy I gave out yesterday as one. So
you going back to back?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Alex Sarr again. So Alex Sarr is going to be my guy. He will be my play of the day. Mr. Bede, I really don't give a shit how his name is pronounced. It's Struess. He sucks anyway, so he does not get the pronunciation correct.
Right. You get the pronunciation correct when they make you. That's the rules. Those be the rules, and we just follow them. SJ, hi Mangone, JSU, would you play or would you pair Hallie and Turner? I do think you could pair Hallie and Turner. I think you could on this slate. On this slate, Mangone, I think we're getting value. I think with the Bulls, so I think you can do something like that, pairing 2 of those guys.
You certainly could. I think it's perfectly fine. But Sarr's going to be my one guy, and then I'm trying to think of a value. I can let you go. I guess you might have 2 to give, but who do you got?
All right, so. I want to give a not owned value play. I think Craig Porter Jr. is going to be sneaky. I don't know how much he's going to play. I don't know what, I think they could blow him out at home. If they do, I think he catch run. Just be clear though, this is not like safe value. This is risky value. This is tournament value. This isn't like cash value. I think Anthony Black's a way better like value play. I think the Bulls are going to give you way better safer value play. So if you just want like the safer value play, wait for the Bulls news, play Anthony Black. But if you want someone with a little risk that has definite, like hit or miss type minutes, right, Mangone? Because he could play like 10 minutes and he could play like 20, depending on how the game goes. But I do think Craig Porter is interesting for tournaments. And then the guy that I want to give is I think SGA is going to be a pretty good spend, Mangone. And I don't know how many people are gonna get to him later. So I think he's going to be like under 20%. So I'm going to go with SGA as my stud.
Yeah, SGA definitely makes a lot of sense as a stud. I'll go with Buzelis because I think Buzelis is like, listen, I'm not going to love him if both those guys are in, but like if one is out, I think it's good, and then if both are out, he's the absolute like stone.
He's not game, Mangone.
Yeah, and it's like Dude, it's that time of the year. Like I know someone talked about in the chat that like SAR is bad on back-to-backs. We're at the time of year where I'm just playing these guys like that aren't like they're young players that are just going to get minutes, right? No matter what on these bad teams. It's what you have to do. And Buzelis is one of them. So I'm going to play him. I feel pretty confident in the minutes he's going to get. So Buzelis will go down as one of my plays as well. But all right. We made it an hour. It was a good show. It was a good time. We got to get on out of here to update the content. I got to update my college basketball stuff. I got to update NBA. So a lot of stuff going on today, but it's going to be a fun night. I can't wait for it all just to lock so I can just sit on the couch, enjoy some food, and watch the game. So that's what I'm looking most forward to. Got a couple hours left until that. Any final thoughts, though, Jace?
Yeah, just don't forget tomorrow. Showtime's gonna be at 4 for hoops, 5 for MLB, and Friday winners for both NBA and MLB. 4 p.m. for us here for NBA, and then 5 for MLB, so you can stay for the MLB stuff, and probably be something like that for a little bit until we get to the playoffs and stuff, and then the MLB shows. Be some premium, some here on the channel. So use that code RPS15, sign up, get 15% off. Check out the MLB product. It's awesome. We got a ton of stuff added to the site. Slate builder for MLB that we worked on and got it set up. A night slate builder. So if you like those night slates for baseball and stuff like that, we'll have content for the night slates. We'll have a showdown playbook for the Sunday night showdown. Normally baseball does a decent Sunday night showdown contest for the big Sunday night game. So we'll have that. And then obviously, hoops, all the other stuff we got for the weekends, NASCAR, MMA, everything. So check it out. Use that code RPS15. Come hang out with us in the Discord.
Yep, couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks a lot for joining us on the show. For me, Mango and JSU. We'll see you guys later.